I'm on a mission like a couple spies, and that, guys, is the reason why I catechize.
Welcome to the Reformed Standard. I'm Tony. Let's get started. Question 8 of the Westminster Larger Catechism says, are there more gods than one? The answer is, there is but one only, the living and true God. Now, this question is one of those questions that is very straightforward, very short, but kind of sets the stage for the rest of the Christian faith. And so there's a lot of depth to it. On the surface, this is a straightforward statement of monotheism, that there is only one God. But beyond that, there's also a statement that this one God is living and true. So we don't worship a God who is dead. We don't worship some sort of inert, static God. But we worship a God who lives and acts and moves. We also worship the God who is true. So this is obviously in contrast to the false gods that other nations in the Bible worshipped, or even the idea of the false worship of the Roman Catholic Church, which ascribes glory and veneration and in some senses deity to other figures like angels, especially the Virgin Mary, the saints, figures like that. Now, there's a couple ways that we can understand this question, and I don't want to speak too strongly one way or another, but we can understand this question to be referring to a person or to persons of the Godhead as persons. So we could say there's only one living and true God, and we could sort of parrot the language of the Nicene Creed, which says we believe in one God, the Father Almighty, and then establishes the deity of the Son and the Spirit in relation to the Father, primarily in pointing out shared action and shared nature, shared activity, shared operations. Or we could read this talking about, as I kind of alluded to in the previous question, the idea that this is what it means to be God, and there's only one thing or one nature in all of existence which fits these qualifications. So either one of those I think is probably fine. And we'll talk at other ventures here that the confessions and the catechisms are consensus documents. And sometimes they're written in a way where people who have disagreements of nuance or disagreements of emphasis can still sign on to the same confession, despite the fact that they're not in 100% alignment. So either of those views I think is fine, and there's an element of truth to either of them, and they work in harmony and not at odds with each other. But what I think we have to be clear that this does not mean and cannot mean, and what we'll find out in the next question is why it can't mean this, is we cannot think of God as a fourth thing. There's no fourth thing that constitutes God. So it's not as though there's the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, and then there's the divine nature, and that those four concepts or those four things together constitute God. It's not like the Trinity is a fourth thing apart from the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. So we have to be cautious because in this question, there's a pitfall that we can sometimes unintentionally or subtly speak about God, and I'm saying God in quotation marks. We can suddenly think about and speak about God as though the one God is somehow a person, and then there's the three persons of the Trinity that are also, maybe in a different sense, also the one God. And what we do when we do that is we take the divine nature, which is not a person, and we start to treat it as though it was a person. We do the same thing with the Trinity. And what we're going to find out is that this is a pitfall that Western Trinitarianism, Western Christianity falls into again and again. And I think that the confession and the catechism, I think that the documents of the Reformed tradition do a good job of hedging their bets against this. But it's something for us to be mindful as we talk about theology proper in the next several questions here. And to commit that error is something that Herman Bavinck, who was a Dutch Reformed theologian, but I think would probably agree here. To commit that error is to do something that he calls an overemphasized realism. And he says it leads to the error of either what he calls quadratheism or tetratheism, something along those lines, which is that there's 4 divine persons, or it leads into some sort of strange Sabellianism or Unitarianism where the 3 persons are simply an amalgamation or a collection, and they constitute the one God together, but no one person is distinct from the other, things like that. So what this question emphasizes is that whatever we mean when we talk about the one God, we're not talking about a person apart from the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But what we mean is that this one God, whatever we mean by that, is living and true, and that one living and true God is the one to whom we owe allegiance.
Do you know, if you want, you could know this? The Catechism, hey, the Catechism, hey. Do you know what the chief and the man is? And how the Father, Son, and Spirit do manage? Do you know, if you want, you could know?
West Side.